Hello everyone, Loremaster of Sotek here, and we have a very important, somewhat good, somewhat bad announcement this morning from Creative Assembly, to the extent that I got up super extra early just so I could talk to you about it, because this one's a pretty big deal. So I'm not going to have a lot of preamble. I'm just going to hop straight into it, and then we'll talk a little bit afterwards about what are the effects, so to speak, and how do I feel about it, and what would be my recommendations about how to feel about it. And so let's just get right into it. So we have the Total War Warhammer 3 Tides of Torment release update from Creative Assembly coming out this morning. It says, hey folks, we are delaying the release of Total War Warhammer 3 Tides of Torment from our previously stated summer release window, and now intend to launch later this year. We will have an exact date for you once we finalize our revised plans, and we'll share details as soon as we're ready. We also want to let you know that our plans to release the final What's Next video in the series will also shift out to a future date. I want to talk to you all about why we've made these decisions and what to expect in the months ahead. In recent playtesting, we asked ourselves if this DLC met the standards that we've set in recent releases, and short answer was no. However, we know it can, and so we want to spend more time working on it, reviewing the content, and improving the gameplay experiences that it's set to bring. These changes will likely mean the content we shared in our What's Next videos for Slaanesh and Norska is no longer accurate. As soon as we know the final shape of those changes, we'll share them to you directly as part of the final What's Next video to give you the complete picture on our third faction in this DLC and the changes to the other factions. We know this is disappointing news. 2025 has been a slower year for many of you in our Warhammer communities, and we're not oblivious to that. We're proud of the updates that we've released for the game this year, but we know that what you love most about this game is the option to experience more of it, especially through the new gameplay styles offered by new legendary lords of all the new unique units, and the focus we give to reworks and core game improvements. Whilst the game is in a better place than in previous years, thanks to the efforts we've made through 2024, we are currently not meeting our commitments to be more active on these fronts, and we apologize for not being more transparent. Next few months, we plan on addressing that. Here's what to expect. July, so that is this month, which it is already the 10th of this month, just for reference. Siege improvements are coming to the Proving Grounds beta system and will enter public testing towards the end of this month. Ahead of its release, we'll share details on what's being changed, what we're testing for, and process on how we will handle your feedback before integrating changes into the main game. So the Siege rework is finally coming, and it's going to be a Proving Ground beta, which means it's not going to just be dropped in the game. It's something that we're going to all have to test and give feedback on. August, update 6.3 is bringing some overdue quality of life improvements to the Tomb Kings and Lizardmen, and revisions to generic starting traits. We'll also revisit some of the skills used by generic Orc and Goblin characters to help refresh those to a more modern standard. All of this will be paired with the usual host of minor gameplay fixes, bug squashing, and a battle balance update for folks playing in multiplayer. August will also see the release of a newly recorded What's Next video focused on our third faction for Tides of Torment, where you'll hear directly from our developers on what to expect, as well as updates on the changes and revisions that we've made to Slaanesh and Norska since publishing our earlier videos in the series. And then September, we're saving space in September for any necessary hotfixes following August release of update 6.3. Otherwise, our total focus is on Tides of Torment from here on out. We won't have any major updates planned for release in September, but we'll stay on top of emerging issues as we get to work on the 7.0 update. On the topic of the road ahead, we also want to acknowledge the growing conversation we see about the game's future beyond the Tides of Torment. We've seen a few folk asking for specific characters that might not fit in any of our current DLC formats, So we're exploring how we might introduce a smaller style of DLC that brings a single legendary lord or hero alongside a few favored additions. We're working out how these would fit in with our schedules, but we have a good idea who the first one could be. And she's someone near and dear to your blood. Totally not Neferata. I'm trying to think who else it could possibly be. I I don't. A female character. I mean, that narrows it down immensely. Trying to think who else it could possibly be. It's not going to be the Mask, because I suspect she's coming as the free LC Lord with Tides of Torment. Let's see. We have all the High Elf ladies. We have all of the... most factions don't have lady characters. It's not going to be random Empire lady. We already have Rapunzel and the Fey Enchantress. We already have all of the elf characters except Nyeth the Prophetess, but she doesn't have anything to do with blood, so it's not Nyeth. It is not Grand Cathay because it's not someone near and dear to our blood, so it's not a Cathay character. There's no Ogre Kingdom female characters that are like famous. We already have Khalida. Not Lizardmen. No, obviously can't be Greenskins. For Warriors of Chaos, we already have Valkia. And there's really no other famous Warrior of Chaos ladies. Won't be a demon, because the only one really is the Mask. So yeah, that leaves Neferata. I would say this pretty much guarantees that Neferata is coming to the game as the first of the smaller DLC packs, which is very exciting. That is genuinely very exciting news. I am very, still waking up, so forgive me if I'm kind of subdued. Right now, our Total War Warhammer teams are singularly focused on Tides of Torment, so we'll be keeping all our attention where it needs to be, and we'll speak more on the possible topic of smaller DLC later on in the year. Next year, we'll return with one of the biggest Total War Warhammer content packs ever created in the entire trilogy, alongside some free content. You'll get to see some of this nice and early as part of this year's 25th anniversary showcase, which, for anyone that doesn't know, the showcase will be in December. It's going to be like a big thing. To ensure that the journey we take through this next chapter of the series is smoother and that we are more present in our communities, please look out for our return to live streams on Twitch and YouTube, alongside plenty of 25th anniversary celebration events. We're bringing back community live streams on a regular weekly schedule, so you'll have a one-stop space for us all to get together and be updated on what's happening across the Total War series. We want to apologize again for the disappointment of today's news, but hope that you'll look forward to a brighter road ahead. Oh, and the third faction for Tides of Torment is High Elves, led by Sea Lord Aislinn. And yes, we're very excited to show you more on that soon. Hey, Sea Lord Aislinn. Okay, so I was right. I'm right again. Oh, as always. Okay, so obviously, here, I'm gonna switch to this screen so I can stop being a blinding aura of light. That is obviously very exciting news. Mostly, it's a bit of a weird space, right? That is excellent news, I think, for the future of the game. So it sounds like we're looking at, so Hyle's confirmed with Sea Lord Aislinn. So my predictions for the Legendary Lords were 3 for 3. Thank you. Hold your applause. Thank you. There's a tip jar by the door on the way out. So we're looking at Sea Lord Aislinn with the High Elves, Sail the Faithless with Norska, and Dakala the Denied One for Slaanesh. awesome. That's what I really wanted. So, and it's the most sensible trio, so I think that's a really good pick. That also means High Elves are definitely getting the Sea Patrol. So we're 100% getting Merworms and Lothern Skycutters and Lothern Skyhelms and a bunch of other stuff. If you want to see all the specifics, I'll link down below to my prediction videos if you want to go just recheck those out. But I'm feeling significantly more confident about those. Of course, don't get me wrong, I am disappointed about the delay. It sounds like best case scenario, we're looking at a late September release, probably an October release, because they said they're keeping September open, and are like full hog on, once September hits, which to me suggests that there is a team. So it sounds like what's happened. Granted, this is not specifics. What I've been told and kind of sussed around is that essentially they just aren't happy with where Tides of Torment was going, and that means that some of it has to be redone. Mostly like when it comes to mechanic stuff. I don't think this is really going to have a huge impact on the units that are added in. So we might get some additional units. Like I could see maybe if they're like didn't include like Mortal Knights of Slaanesh on the Greater Steeds of Slaanesh or Demonic Steeds of Slaanesh, they might include those. Or if they want to do like another Famir thing, like maybe they saw the comments about, that we were making about the Famir Noble, and if you're not going to do Famir Mirgs in the future, they really should be lords, not heroes, and it'd be better for Norska to double up on lords instead of having a lord and a hero if that was the option. So maybe they saw that, and that will also be something they tend to. But to my understanding, it's mostly about like the campaign mechanics. So the features that these characters are bringing to the game and all of those various systems. For whatever reason, it has been decided that the ones we were looking at getting were unsatisfactory. They either were not working well enough or they were not fun enough. And the decision has been made to redo portions from scratch, is what it sounds like to me, because an additional 2 to 3 months of development is a pretty significant amount of time. That's basically redoing stuff from scratch. So I will say that it is, of course, very disappointing news, but it's disappointing news, but it's the right decision, right? We cannot go through another Shadows of Change. We just can't. We can't have a situation where they have a DLC that just doesn't feel good. It doesn't feel fun to play, or it's just really janky, and the ideas they were trying to manifest just didn't work, and they just couldn't figure out a way to make them work. Whatever it might be, if they feel that the product is going to be undercooked and is going to be inappropriate for the community, then it has to be fixed. So it's definitely very disappointing news, because I like having shiny new toys. Everyone likes shiny new toys. Hell, I love new DLCs because I benefit very well financially from new DLCs, and I would love to have more money to recover from all the trips I just took. But I think this is the right call. I think it is. If it needs to be done, it needs to be done, and that's just all there is to it. As frustrating as that may be, I will say that I do think the little roadmap they've given us is good. I think doing the Siege rework this month as a Proving Ground beta is a very, very good decision. I'm glad they're not just dropping it on us, but they're doing Proving Grounds, because if it, isn't working correctly, then we can look into having, we can get feedback and make sure that sieges are going in a positive direction, because that's going to be a very difficult thing to land. And a lot of people are going to have very different opinions. So that's gonna take time, and it's also gonna need to be sort of smoothed out. So I think that's a very good idea. And if they can make sieges notably better, that will be huge for people playing single player. I do hope that we get some more roster reveals over the coming months. I may try to have a word with them about it, where if there are things that are definitely locked in about the DLC, it'd be nice if maybe they could reveal one new unit every like 2 weeks, maybe, to just give like a little something. But I don't know if there's going to be roster changes. To my understanding, I don't think they're going to be doing any roster changes, but I don't know. Maybe there could be things that they're like, oh no, we need to like change this around. But I will say the has to be Neferata, because I literally cannot think of a single other character in the game who it could be, because we already have all the other characters it could be. The Neferata announcement is, yeah, because we have Isabella, we have Ground Hellebron, we have Valkia. I would be willing to bet the house and the horse and the farm that the mask is coming with Slanesh. I literally cannot think of who else it could be. Yeah, no. So Neferata coming as the first of a new type of DLC where it's like her and like 2 units. I think that's a very, very good decision. Obviously, I'm a little sad that we're not getting like the full Vampiric Bloodlines type DLC, but I don't really... I'm not that worried about it, because they could just do it, but broken up, right? So instead of doing like a Titanic DLC that has 4 new Vampire Legendary Lords and like a bunch of other stuff, we can instead do a much more reasonable system of like, oh, you get Neferata, and you get like the Blood Coven Throne, and you get maybe like Lamian handmaidens on foot, or maybe you like as like an elite unit, or maybe you get like spirit hosts, or maybe you get trying to think of what else I would associate with Lamians. If I only had like 2 units slots, I would probably go with the Coven Throne, and I think Spirit Host would be reasonable. Either that or maybe Animated Armor or Unholy Blades. Either of those would be really cool. So, hey, that means I get to redo my Vampire Count series about what all I hope to see with the Vampire Counts, but I get to kind of like laser focus it instead of it being that giant, broad thing. But I think this could be really, really good for the future of the game. To have small packs that it's like 1 legendary lord or 1 legendary hero with like 2 units, or maybe like the bodyguard pack I've been talking about that I think would be really, really good, where it's like 5 legendary heroes and that's it. That's all you get. Where it just adds a bunch of new legendary heroes to the game. There are some factions that would benefit super well from this, like Tzeentch. Tzeentch is a perfect example of a faction that would kill for this. If we could get like Igrim von Horseman, and then you get like the Azure Princes as like an elite infantry unit, so like, or Azure Princes, or like some kind of like elite infantry Tzeentch squad, and then you maybe get, instead of maybe another unit, you get like Galroch as a legendary hero. And that's it. That's all that's in it. I would be totally fine with that. Maybe they could give them like, well, no, that would probably be a Galroch thing. But like, maybe Tzeentch could get like Tzeentch Chaos Dragons as a generic big monster. But though I feel like that would be a little weird, because like, why wouldn't the other Chaos factions have Chaos Dragons? So maybe it would just be Galroch legendary hero, and then you get Igrim as a legendary lord, and then you just get Azure Princess, and that's it. That's all that's in it. I think for Slaanesh that would be perfect. The last thing worth really talking about is this big DLC. So a giant a DLC that is bigger than anything we've ever gotten for Total War. Warhammer, the whole trilogy, which is saying a lot. Realistically, that can only be two things. Like it could be one of two things. It's either a very elaborate new type of race pack. Like if they were to come out and say, hey, here's the Dogs of War who are like a giant, like here's a brand new big fat Dogs of War race pack, but they also come with like a full mercenary system. So like we're adding a bunch of new mercenaries into the game. So like here's the Amazons of Lustria. Here's like the Truthsayers and Dark Emissaries of Albion. Here's your Albion two-headed giants. Here's your halflings from the Moot. Like all of the units that would not be able to be their own factions, right? Taking all of those units and being like, okay, the Dogs of War are like Core, Talea, and Astalia, right? So like Core, Talea, and Astalia, maybe some Araby thrown in there. And then all of these other groups that can't realistically be their own armies are also included, but they're mercenaries that you can hire from relative locations. Kind of like ogre camps, but that are spawned in by like the AI, or maybe there's like unique landmark buildings that you can build, like in relevant locations that allow you to recruit them if you're an appropriate faction. That would be huge. Like that would be a titanic DLC that would be adding in content for every faction in the game, in addition to a new race. So that's option A. Option B is that this is the very heavily rumored End Times DLC. Because even with everything they've already added to the game, if you added everything from the End Times, that could be a pretty considerable amount of content. If you're looking at Nagash, you're looking at the Dread Abyssals, you're looking at the Morghast Archive and the Morghast Harbingers, you're looking at the Glotkin, the three Magath Lords, Gutrot Spume, Putrid Blight Kings, Thanquil and Bone Ripper, Screech Vermin King, the Vermin Lords, Storm Fiends. At minimum, like if you did everything from the End Times, at minimum, that's what you're adding to the game. I would guess that they would flesh it out significantly more than that, and that could be us looking down the barrel of, oh, here's Nagash, he's leading, I mean, if it's proper End Times Nagash, he's leading a new race, right? He's leading the Undead Legions. So there's a new race. You're also looking down the barrel of a fat Skaven DLC, which, depending on how they do it, could be pretty large, especially if they want to flesh it out to make it bigger. The Skaven are still missing things from the Lustria campaign supplement. So we're still missing like the Cauldron of 1,000 Poxes. We're missing pox rats. We're missing giant rats as like a unit. We're missing I don't think they'd want to do rat swarms. I feel like giant rats would be fine. I don't think you need rat swarms and giant rats. You should do one or the other. But we're missing like plague pontifexes as a generic lord. You could also argue like we could get like master molders as a generic lord, so then every single Skaven clan has their own lord option. You know, they could do like fixing the warlock engineer or the arch warlock, so they have shooting attacks to make them like proper long range artillery characters in addition to combat specialists, but like making them true hybrids. And with like the Glotkin and stuff, I mean, there's so much Nurgle shit, but hopefully it wouldn't just be Nurgle. It'd also be available to like generic Warriors of Chaos. And that could be a chance to introduce more monsters, right? So if there's any monsters from Chaos, which there's so many Chaos monsters, but if there are any Chaos monsters that are not included in the Slaanesh DLC, We could maybe get them with Glotkin as well. So whether it's your Basilisk, your like giant spine chaos beast, your gigantic chaos spawn, your Praytons, that could be a chance to sneak those in. For Nagash, we could get I mean, Undead Legions are technically a new race, but he's also like technically just all of the undead plus some bonus goodies. So with Nagash, we could be looking at like maybe new undead units. So new stuff for the Vampire Coast, new stuff for the Vampire Counts, new stuff for the Tomb Kings, you know, all of our little undead boys. There's a lot of different ways they could handle it. Either one of those would be huge DLCs. Like either one of those would be massive. It would simply be an idea of, is it, let's finish the end time stuff, of which there's so much, which could be the capstone for several races at once. Like if they did the end time stuff, they could very easily finish off the Warriors of Chaos, Nurgle, and the Skaven. Like those could just be done, like completely done, depending on how they did it. If they did, I mean, depending on how crazy they go with Nagash, they could finish like the Tomb Kings, they could finish the Vampire Coast, they could finish the Vampire Counts. Those would all be pretty significant. And then if they go the Dogs of War option, that would just be introducing a brand new fat fucking faction in the game right in the middle of the world, and would also be adding ludicrous amounts of content to like literally every faction, because every faction would get at least like a couple of new mercenary units. But yeah, that's my thoughts. Let me know what y'all think down below. Obviously, it's not all good news. It's sobering news would probably be the best way to put it. There's a lot of really exciting promises for the future, but it's also a little tricky about, like, I can understand. I don't personally feel this way. I want to be very clear about that. I don't feel this way. I've gotten to have lots of great chats, and while I'm disappointed by this pushback, I'm not super surprised about the pushback. But I get if anybody's watching this and they're feeling very frustrated or they're feeling very disappointed and they're like, oh, well, they say they're going to do all this shit, but like, how long is that going to take? That's a reasonable criticism to have. But I really think that if they feel this is necessary to do, then it's necessary to do. I would much rather them take longer and give us a better end product than rush something out the door and it just flops. We can't do another Shadows of Change. We can't do it. That it would be so bad for them as a company right now, and for us as consumers. It would suck for everybody, right? Like that would be like this is gonna kill the game type situation. So I think taking the time they need, excellent decision. I think letting us know what's coming up in pretty much the rest of the year, where it sounds like best case scenario, we're looking at Tides of Torment, what is almost certainly Neferata with like 1 or 2 units as a mini pack, maybe in like November, December, Tides willing. And then sometime next year, I would probably guess later in the year, probably like late spring, early summer, looking at some new big fat DLC that's supposedly bigger than any other DLC we've ever had for Total War. But hopefully with more of these mini packs between now and then. If this probably, I would be shocked if it's not Neferata pack, does very well and people like it and buy it, then do more of that. Give us more. You know, give me a dark elf one where it's I always forget his name, and it makes me so... Talaris Dreadbringer. Give me, like, Talaris Dreadbringer with a Dark Elf, Sea Dragon, and like the... Wow, my brain is short-circuiting really bad this morning. The... whatever they're called, the ghost spirits, the spirits of Erithkial. That are like horrifying wraith creatures. Give me those two with him. Awesome. Or it could be Corin Darkhand with those two units. Or it could be, though Corin Darkhand I think should be in the Bodyguard DLC, but I'll talk more about that in coming weeks. But in any event, that's it. I'm not gonna ramble on any longer. I've already been talking for way too fucking long about a relatively short article. Let me know what your thoughts are down below. Don't be afraid to let me know how you're feeling about it. I really genuinely want to read y'all's honest thoughts. I'm not gonna be like, oh, you should be positive. Like you should feel how you feel about it. But feel free. I would really love to hear what your thoughts are about. Do you think that what they're suggesting of doing is enough to make you feel better about what's happening? Do you feel worried? Do you feel excited? You very well may feel excited. I feel very excited. I may not be showing it. Once again, just woke up. But yeah, and just a quick breakdown of things that I'd love to hear your thoughts about. The biggest one for me is, A, how do you feel about mini packs? So how do you feel about like Neferata and 2 new units? And how do you feel about like a big Dogs of War DLC versus a big End Times DLC? I want to be super clear that from everything I have heard from every source that is even remotely reliable, even if it is the End Times DLC, whatever this big thing is, it's not the last DLC. There's more DLCs coming after it, planned for the future. From everything I've heard, Total War Warhammer is not looking at shutting down anytime in the foreseeable future, especially not next year. So, don't freak out. don't freak out. It's not, oh, it's the End Times, it's the last DLC. I think it would probably be like if it's truly the largest of its kind, it would probably be like a very unique DLC that will probably not see another one of its kind. But it doesn't mean that there won't potentially be a Dogs of War pack later, or maybe if we get super lucky, maybe Koresh and End and stuff. I don't think those are impossibilities. As much as they may feel like impossibilities, I don't think they are. You know, maybe we could see some really interesting types of DLCs in the future. I have a lot of ideas about how we could do mini packs that are like kind of unique or flavored, instead of just kind of like, oh, here's a little thing, here's a little thing. But maybe doing some things that kind of have like tie-ins to other things of like the Warhammer community. You may go, that doesn't make sense. Bear with me. You'll see in the future. So anyway, that's it for me this morning. I just wanted to make sure I absolutely got this video out right when the announcement goes live. So thank you all for watching. Please let me know your thoughts down below. Dogs of War versus End Times especially, but also mini packs, Neferata. It has to be Neferata. Neferata and the delay. So yeah, thank you very much for watching. I'll see you guys later.